Hello, Virgo. I am Ulrich. I'm a Lenormand card reader, but this time we'll use a financial deck for your card reading. The deck contains 44 cards, and the laying is done with 3 cards that you see here in front of me. You can also see 4 objects here on the table, meaning we will do 4 card readings for each astrological sign for the month of July, and this video is for you, Virgo. From these 4 objects that you see here, you choose one or you pick one that you think relates most to your personality, or you choose one that you feel most comfortable with. The subject of your choice should or it will relate the best to your current financial situation or the advice that you are receiving from the cards regarding that financial situation. Of course, you can watch all 4 videos for the Virgo sign, and after you've watched all 4 of them, you can then decide what object is fitting best your financial situation. The matches here represent the fire sign. The stone represents the earth element. The aerosol sprayer there represents the air element, and the shell here, it represents the water element. So here we go for the sign of Virgo. So we continue with Virgo. As you can see here, we have the matches or the fire group. So the first card that we see here is the value of the small money. What does this card mean? Well, as you know, when we pay, we get a lot of small change back, and sometimes we don't acknowledge the real value of those small coins or the small bills in our wallet. So sometimes it can cause a problem that we never pay attention for it. A large proportion of people who are struggling to meet ends tend to minimize the real financial impact of it, especially on the long run. For example, expenses that are not really big. Meaning, if you buy something, do you really appreciate it on its value? Think about it. Do you give it its sincere attention and a critical look at it if the invoice is smaller? Also, it tells you like you need to be careful, like with advertisements of everything is discounted. It's like we are depreciating our own money. It causes us to consume even more, thereby blinding you and your financial clarity. We need to be aware that it takes a lot of small coins and bills to create 100. And these hundreds, they forge themselves into 1,000. So it means this card, every small coin or every small bill, it has a substantial, great importance. So the next time you visit a store, it asks you here this card to rate what you have bought. Look at your articles and ask yourself about their necessity. Are you still valuing the small amounts of the small bills, or are you no longer valuing them? Are you overspending because you lost track of the real value of it? This card asks you to give back the small coins back their value. It means it has a lot of value because if you have a lot of small ones, it makes the big ones. So this is the one for the first card. The next card is about food. Later we put everything in context. The next one is about food. So the day of today, we live in a very hectic world. We all know this. And in order to maintain your standard of living, maybe you have budget problems. As we saw here, maybe it's a little bit out of value here. Maybe you overspend. This tells you, and it relates very well to the sign of Virgo because food is related to Virgo, cooking food. We all know that this takes time. It's actually an art, or it's considered for many as an art, but nowadays it's much more easier to leave this task. We buy takeouts, we eat in the restaurants, or we pick up a gourmet dish fast. So the household management is totally changed, and the expenses related to it, of course, are exploded in recent years. This asks you if you still have time for doing the cooking yourself, or if you're still devoted to your pots and pans, or do you always buy takeout? And this always buying the takeouts, does this leave you with an astronomical bill at the end of the month? This is what it asks you. Of course, in able to pay all these expenses, these small expenses, this food, the more you work, the more you buy takeout, and the more you need to pay. So at the end of the month, it's a substantial amount of money. So this card asks you to break the chain. If you have the possibility for start cooking yourself, it urges you to do so. It urges you to buy healthy foods because it's also about healthy foods. Maybe in the past period, maybe because of Corona, you stayed a lot of in the inside, you gained some weight, or your health is a little bit deteriorated because of it. You don't move so much anymore, and this card asks you to eat healthy. It asks you also to break the chain of overspending in the coming weeks, and you plan in your home cooking more like you did before. And if you did not so, and you're new to this channel, it asks you to start cooking more, to learn how to cook, to learn how to take care of yourself. It asks you to learn the joy of the culinary art. You will eat better, you will feel better, you will feel healthier, and also related to this laying, you will feel financially a lot better. That's the second card. The last card that we have here, it says, that's good or bad. What does that mean? Well, of course you heard of good and bad debts, I suppose, but what is it really? Well, for example, the loan on your home, it's considered to be a positive because it's a good investment on the long run and it will increase your assets over time. A bad loan, on the other hand, it has no economical value. It's a debt that will not contribute to your financial stability or financial growth. The best example here that I can think of is an unpaid bet on a credit card or a debit card. These cards, I call them instruments, are known to have astronomically high interest rates. Some people, if you see the numbers, you get dizzy of it. This makes you financially bleed, and it makes you feel miserable, and the only thing that smiles is your bank or the institution that you lend or have the credit to. It is actually a liability that is providing you no added benefits. This is a card that warns you. It warns you about your loans. The loans that you have, it asks you, are most of them good loans or are they bad loans? Maybe the good loans can turn into bad loans if you're not careful. So we go here into some small technical aspects. And here also the question is asked, is your house fully mortgaged? And related to that, what if there is a property loss? So here it says, it's a formula that says your net value, the net value of your things, are the assets minus your liabilities. So it means you need to deduct the interests of your assets, and then you keep the real numbers. So the real numbers is your net worth. So do you know your net worth? Did you actually calculate it? And what is your opinion about it? So we're going to stop now with the technical things, but for some people might find this interesting. So the real value of this card is it makes you think about the quality of your debts. Maybe your debts are a little bit going in the negative way, and you have more negative debts than you have positive debts. So coming back to, in general, to our general laying here, we put everything in context here. So maybe for this month, you need to learn to value the small amounts of money again. Maybe you need to learn to balance the small money. With this balancing comes that you maybe are invited or suggested to eat more healthy and eat more and cook more at home. So if you apply these both things, we can assume that your debts or the things that you need to pay will improve. So this card urges you to be more self-sufficient, take care of yourself in a different way. So Virgo, that's all for this first laying for the fire sign or the matches. I hope you enjoy this reading. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Hello Virgo, and welcome to the next reading. We are going to continue now with the stone group or the earth group. So what does this card tell us? This card tells us you would need to accept your current situation. Maybe this is not the best time for looking for new positions or improving your living conditions. Maybe also it's not the best time for looking for certain promotions. Maybe you are in a position that you need to accept your situation for what it is today. The point being, maybe you are at risk for financial inflation, or maybe you encounter some financial difficulties. So this card tells you you must approach your financial conditions the best you can. It asks you to realize that sound management of your finances is very important or imperative now. And it tells you also that the solution will not come by the increase of income, but by learning to live as comfortable as possible with the means that you possess or that you have right now. Whatever the point being or is, we can all aspire to the American dream or the abundance of wealth. But the point right now is that you live with the means that you have. If you're smart, you can stay out of the abyss or financial troubles or financial abyss. Realize, however, that money is not always associated with happiness. We must accept the situation, or you must accept the situation as you see it today or as it is today. And you must also realize or know that, and probably do, that there are always people that are better off than you, but there are also others, poorer. The bottom line being, it's not what you earn that matters, but how well you manage your income. You must realize also there are people who live in squatters and have only very few means. It tells you to make a balance between your income and your expenses, whatever your income or savings might be. It is your actions, the way you buy, the way you manage your money, that will determine if you're short for money or not. So this card tells you to spend money within your means, not overspending. So this is the general message from this card. The second card here represents evolution. So here it says to us that there is progress in life. We and you also, you evolve over the years, and the decades that come are not the same, as we see, and we notice now with Corona, things have changed considerably for most of us. 20 years ago, you would have found it unusual to pay large amounts of money for certain services. But now things have changed. Our expenses and our needs are increasing. So this card tells you that you need to eliminate what was essential in the past and which today is no longer necessary or important. For instance, if you no longer have phone calls at home on your landline, you could, for instance, cancel this number if you don't use it anyway. If you don't listen anymore to, or don't watch the TV anymore, so what's the purpose of your TV subscription? So you need to ask the relevance of this. Most of us use the internet now, so a lot of us don't need subscription anymore on TVs. So it's a way to save money. It's small amounts, but you can save them. This is for only an example. You need to ask yourself the relevance of maintaining certain subscriptions and things that are actually in the past. Also, if you are subscribed to a newspaper or to a magazine, sometimes it's cheaper to get the online version. So this card urges you to evolve with the times and adjust your expenses. It asks you to review your monthly payments and adjust to the current times. It's like modernizing with the times. The last card here is, it's not such a good card, but it's not bad also. This card means that you need to foresee for bad times. You need to prepare yourself for bad times. It doesn't mean they're gonna come, but you need to be prepared. We need to realize that there will always be rainy days and storms. And when it comes to money, it's also unrealistic that that you are not preparing yourself if some uneasy situation would come up in your life. This card asks you to implement a rescue plan. It warns you. It wants to help you to prepare and have a safety cushion, a net. This card asks you to foresee the unforeseen, the unpredictable. We never know what will happen or what will happen, but of course you can be financially ready if you are prepared for it. So this card wants to help you for providing that safety net. How to prepare? How do we prepare? Well, ask yourself the following. For instance, is your income stable? So if your income is stable, you have more stability. Do you have insurances to make you safe? So it's like for bringing yourself in a security position. So also for your car, if you have a car, see that the car is well insured, that also that the warranties are correct, extend the warranties of the car, try to make some savings. That's what this card says. Reflect over the things that you cannot foresee. You need to act in control and prepare yourself. It's not a bad card, it's just like a warning. So what we see here, we need to accept our current situation as this. Maybe it's a little bit difficult. We need to adjust to the times. We need to dispose of things we no longer need, like certain subscriptions or small amounts of money that we spent that are no longer necessary. And we need to prepare for possible bad times that are coming, but will not necessarily be. It's just a precaution. It can also be that it helps you to prevent. So it's better to be smart. That is what this card says. So Virgo, for the stone group or the earth group, this is all for today. I hope you enjoyed my reading. If you do, please feel free to subscribe and see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Hello, Virgo, and welcome to the Aerosol or the air group. So as you can see here, the first card is, it represents credit cards. What exactly does this mean? It asks you, how would you rate your use of credit cards? Would you tell you use them in a wise way, in a good way, in a bad way? Using these cards, of course, you know, is not possible unless you settle your account at the end of each month, or you pay the interests accordingly, which in general cases are very high. When you use your credit cards, for instance, in some cases also you can get points, or there are privileges that of course apply on you, but it tells you also to be careful with credit cards. This card actually tells you to keep your spending under control. If it's not necessary, don't do the purchase, but because maybe some purchases that you do will cost you dearly. As we earlier saw, maybe the interests are high or some unforeseen expenses are about to come. As we said, there are very high interest rates, and maybe if the amounts are mounting up, it's maybe unrealistic to think that paying off a purchase on a credit and keeping a good balance is doable. Because at the end of the month, we come in a difficult situation and we cannot balance anymore. It don't help your financial situation, it actually makes it worse. So it tells you here, if you have overdue accounts or overdue payments, maybe you need to inform in your bank to ask for a payment plan and stop adding debts, and accordingly also the fees, that you don't go deeper into debts if that is the case. Is there a way that you can get privileges on these cards? Please apply them. But mostly privileges with credit cards come with expenses. So this card tells you to be wise, to think about the use of your credit cards, and you need to move to a more positive situation, or you need to manage them better. The second card here is about publicity. What does that mean? Well, advertisements are everywhere in our life, so we are exposed to several thousands of ads per day on the internet, on TV. So it comes to us, it's like a boom, it's like a bombardment. We are over informalized and commercialized. This propaganda is everywhere, and it's easy to be fooled and imagine, and we start to confuse our essential needs with the commercialization that we see. Sometimes we ask ourselves, why is this all necessary? And we get so indoctrinated about this that we lost the way. Some people are very sensitive for this, others are not. So it asks you here to realize that you need to control the pressure of the marketing and let it go over you. Maybe you're very influenceable for marketing or for things to buy when you see them on TV, when you see them on a bus stop, when you see them on the bus, when you see them on the internet. So this card tells you to get your feet on the ground. It asks you to stop going to flyers, going to promotions, going to gadgets, tech gadgets. Just try to control yourself. And also it asks you to compare your situation with the ones of your parents years ago, because they didn't have access to those credit cards. So for them, it was more difficult, and maybe the payments that you have were not possible now because of they had no credit cards. It asks you to take a critical look at your current situation and just don't be envious about it. Just try to adjust to this new situation and don't be influenced by the publicity. Then the last here, this relates actually to the credit cards and the publicity, because this is the consumption one. This one you use for payment and this one makes you buy. And then here we arrive at the end in the overconsumption for the month of July. What does this tell us? So we live in a world of overconsumption. It's clear for all of us. We are daily confronted again with these advertisements. So we lost a little bit our way in general over essential goods, and things are no longer the same as it was with our parents. With our parents or the generations before us, they were aspired to go into their basic needs, their basic necessities. Of course, the tendencies are changed. Today, our basic needs include a smartphone or a cell phone, because nobody can live without a cell phone anymore. And that includes also the internet. For a lot of us also, relaxation is in that category. And sometimes we need to relax and have some travel or some relaxation and travel together. So the society has evolved. The essentials for many people have been replaced. So this card asks you to evaluate your real needs within this new society. And then it asks you to evaluate if you buy gadget or if you travel, are you happier than your ancestors? So that is the question that is hanging here, because maybe it's like a drug and we overconsume some things and it ends up in a blur and we lose our perspective. So this card asks you if you still see your perspective, that you still know where you're going. This card urges you not to collapse under the pressure, not to lose sight of the essence of your life. Don't overconsume or don't hyperconsume, because it will not make you happy. Material goods don't necessarily make us happy. So it asks you also to determine what are your basic, your minimum needs, and estimate your non-essential expenses. Some things that we buy, we can live without them, as you know. So would you be worse off, asks this card, without all these superficial attributes? And also in consideration, we need to pay the credit cards that we have used for paying these superficial attributes. So this card tells you, learn to live according to your needs and not what publicity, credit card companies send you. Just go your own way, not what society suggests you. And if you go your own way and you reflect well, you keep yourself connected well to your mind, your wallet will be much better off on the long run. That is what these cards here explain to you. So this is all for the month of July, Virgo, related to the air group. I hope you enjoyed this reading. See you next time, and thank you for watching. So Virgo, we're going to do the next group, which is the shell group related to the water. The first card you see here is called proportions. It tells us that everything is relative, and we can only estimate certain amounts of money in relation to another. A monthly payment for somebody's home has a different consequences for a low-income family compared to it has to a high-yield family. $2 or €2 for a poor family don't have the same impact for everybody. The real cost of a computer is not the same for everyone. It's a simple concept, and yet it's difficult to grasp. Maybe this card asks you that you maybe not count in terms of amounts, but rather in percentages. It tells you to find a balanced budget, establish a relationship between your outflow of your money and your actual salary. I assume it's you who does the counting and who does the calculation. So it's you who are responsible for the proportion that you are in. This card asks you to see the importance of this, the size of the disbursements compared to your earnings. It asks you to relativize your current expenses and also educate yourself on the ratios considered respectable, viable. It asks you to take your calculator or do a mental exercise to see where you really are. Maybe you can write it down. And are there some things that are out of balance? It asks you to make the big picture, to get an overview. And the question here related to this card, the last question is actually, are you living beyond your means? What you're earning and what you're spending, is it in balance? Is it in proportion? So that is actually what this card tells us. The next card here is about deals. Some of us are more sensitive to getting deals than other people. Some people of us like to buy discounted items. So maybe you are one of the people who like to buy in discount. Maybe often you check out the section of liquidations in the hope to find some beautiful object, some piece of clothing, or something that is not actually necessary. You try to find a product that has been discounted and that is for sale for a small amount, for a ridiculous amount. This card wants you to understand that every time you buy such an item, it has an effect on your accounts, but I'm sure you are aware of that. And also it asks you to wisely think and calculate if you really get a good deal, because you need to calculate and see that the item of such an article in the first place is lower than the full price, because some people, some merchants are very smart. So don't be overwhelmed and bewitched by sales and percentages. Just don't let yourself influence. Keep cool and question yourself. Just ask yourself, what is a reasonable price for this or that? And the question following out of this is, of course, do you really need this article? Maybe by always looking for these discounts, you spend a lot more money than you had anticipated before. And then you need to see, is it really necessary? Also, some of us, and maybe this relates on you, some people are buying in bulk. But then at the end of the month, they find themselves giving them away to their neighbors, to their relatives, or they bring to the disposal area because it's not consumed on time or it has no value anymore. And then you need to ask yourself, is this really economizing if you give it away or you need to throw it away? So it asks you not to overflow your house with items that will only accumulate and will bring later on, you will bring later on maybe to recycle. So it urges you to ignore the offered discounts and the liquidations. It tells you if you do so, your wallet will fairly improve by it. The last card here is a lucky card. It says that happiness don't come with money. This card says that the first thing we need to do have our basic needs fulfilled. We need water, we need clothes, we need shelter, we need insurance. So we need our basic needs. This card is actually an aspirement to self-fulfillment, make us happy. It also tells us that the car of the year or the new blouse or the new pants does not belong in these essential needs. Some people are confused, and maybe some people are confused and confuse the basic needs with being at ease. Of course, everybody likes to have more material goods, but the question is, does it really make you happy? Does it make you happy to spend more? And after, do you have a good feeling about it? Does this guarantee you a feeling of completeness? This card asks you to take a break and to think about your pursuit of happiness. Do you associate it with like a standard of living for the jet set? And if money was so strongly connected to joy, so then you need to ask yourself, why are many wealthy people feeling very unhappy? Of course, money is essential. I'm aware of that, and you need to meet your basic needs. However, once these needs are filled, your quest should not depend solely on your financial ease. It should focus on your personal happiness and the things that make you feel joyful and happiness. This card tells you to enjoy the little things of life, appreciate the people around you, and appreciate the things that you already possess. This is the real deal. So actually, for making the conclusion here, so it tells you here, if you did not balance very well before your budgets in the previous months, try to balance yourself. Don't go into discounts. Don't buy things that you don't really need. Don't be impressed by discounts because maybe they are not really discounts, or maybe you don't really need those things. And feel happy with your current situation where you are right now, and embrace the happiness that you have for now. That is the message that is said here. So Virgo, shell group or water group, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.